Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor, she ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong, I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease. By making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself, 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to a special edition of It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. I wanted to record today because although there will be a delay of a couple of weeks before this actual podcast goes live, yesterday Donald Trump was one of 40,000 people who became active with COVID-19. 40,000 people yesterday also are positive as of this morning with COVID-19. And so I think for the first time, even the doubting Thomases are going to want to know how can they avoid getting this horrible virus and why it's important to wear masks. So I want to talk about who's getting it, who's immune compromised. I want to talk about what you can do to build up your immune system. I want to talk about the things that the EPA has said are okay to clean with when sometimes they are more toxic than it's worth cleaning with them, but there are solutions. I want to talk about our children and how toxic cleaning solutions are as harmful, if not more so, than the virus. And then we'll sum it all up so that you have a lot of good implementable tools to take home with you and to put into action so that you and your family are safe until we finally get this virus behind us, or any other super virus coming down the pack. So the first thing I want to talk about is who's immune compromised. Now, I know I'm immune compromised because I have autoimmune disease, and I'm one of 50 million people that have autoimmune disease. I'm also one of the 114 million people that have diabetes. So if you have any autoimmune disease or any diabetes, right there, you're in the automatically immune compromised area. So you are more at risk of getting COVID-19 than other Americans, or so everyone thought. There's 121 million people out there that have heart disease. I've just interviewed 2 who were young men who had heart attacks, who have owned their own health and come back to living a normal life. So if you have heart disease, it might be great for you to take a look at one of my Tell Me Your Story episodes where these people are sharing how they recovered from heart disease. But if you have heart disease or you've had any kind of a mini stroke, you're also part of the immune compromised group. There's also 16,000 cancer survivors in the United States. And when you add all this up together, it's a pretty big chunk of our population that is more at risk of getting COVID-19, but it doesn't stop there. If you think that you're so healthy that you're safe from the ravages of this disease, I want you to think again. The sad reality is that 75% of Americans are overweight and more than 42% are actually obese. Chronic disease impacts 6 out of 10 Americans, and another 20% of normal weight people have prediabetes. So you put all these shocking rates of poor metabolic health together, and it comes down to 9 out of 10 Americans are actually in the immune compromised area, 90%. So that's what makes my information so important for you to pay attention and to implement so that you, your spouse, your friends, your family, and your children do not get Corona-19. Now, I have not gotten it, but I do have friends who have gotten it, and they tell me that it was the worst illness they ever went through. 2 of them are still struggling with long-lasting impacts on their body that they have not gotten over. Some went through the actual infection in as little as 2 weeks, but they still have byproducts of the infection that are following their health and making them feel less than normal. So this is all important for all of us. What's protecting me, even though I am immune compromised, is that I have significantly changed my lifestyle and I have adopted healthy habits. So the standard American diet, which is what we eat, which is a lot of processed food and a lot of fast food, is what's making our immune systems less healthy. So if you're eating a lot of processed food or you're eating a lot of fast food, I want you to rethink that right now and give it up. When you're buying processed food at the grocery store, I want you to look at the ingredient list. And if there are ingredients that you don't know what they are, trust me, your body doesn't know what they are either. So you're not going to buy that. You're going to put it back on the shelf. If it's something you can't pronounce, you don't know what that is, so put it back. Your body doesn't know what it is either, and you don't need it. And that even comes down to simple things like natural flavors. Do you know what a natural flavor is made out of? Well, I didn't, so I did some research. And a lot of times, natural flavorings are 39 different names for MSG. Now, what's amazing about that is we all know that MSG is a neurotoxin and not good for us in large quantities. What we don't know is that they have now hidden it in processed food under 39 different names. What else is in processed food? Processed food and fast food are loaded with sugar, cane sugar that's genetically modified and not good for us. It's loaded with bad fats, which are omega-6 fats, which are why we have triglycerides and cholesterol and make us less healthy and lower our immune systems. They're loaded with salt. So if anybody out there has had a stroke or is borderline heart disease, you don't want to be eating processed food because that's just going to significantly impact your ability to have a healthy immune system. So what do I want you to do instead? Now, I get a lot of pullback when I work with clients about this, but what I want you to do is eat all the colors of the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible, and I want you to eat 75% of what you eat as vegetables, because that's where you're going to get all the great phytonutrients that will support your body and make your immune system healthy. 75%. And ideally, I would like you to make sure that all of those fruits and vegetables are organic. Why organic? Because you don't need an unhealthy dose of toxins and poisons when you're eating your food. So even if you're grocery shopping, you're going to stay in the produce department, and that's going to be what the majority of what you're going to buy is. Now, I actually just found a meme that I posted on Facebook that talks about the fact that by eating fast food, we increase our inflammation by 100 times. Inflammation equals disease. And so you don't want to be eating that stuff because it's going to set you right up for not only not having a strong enough immune system to survive COVID-19, but it's all going to set you up for future disease. And one of the reasons I call this show, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health, is because I don't want you to be like me, getting disease down the pike. I want you to eat healthy and stay healthy for the rest of your life. So I think this would be a good time to talk quickly about the Blue Zone Project with National Geographic. They started off with 5 areas in the world where people lived well into their 90s and even into their hundreds, and they're healthy, and they don't have disease, and they still have their cognizance. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like to keep my brain as I grow old, so it's an important study to take a look at because they have proven that all the people in these 5 communities have done this. They grow old and they don't have disease and they still have a high cognizance so that they can function well in life. One of the things that they do is they cook their food and they eat, the majority of what they eat is fruits and vegetables. And they only eat organic. They don't want to eat all of those chemicals that are pesticides that are sprayed on our conventional crops. They do eat some meat. Most of these communities are pescatarian, which means they eat wild fish. But there are a few that eat small amounts of meat as well. But remember, you are what you eat. So if you're eating phytonutrients, you have all these great building blocks to rebuild your cells with. If you're eating clean meat, which means meat that eats his specific animal diet, which for a cow means he is eating grass because that's how he was built. He's got 2 stomachs because he has to be able to digest grass. So you want him to be grass-fed and grass-finished. What sense does it make for you to buy beef that's been grass-fed and finished with GMO corn? So you want grass-fed, grass-finished. You want heritage pork, which is clean pork that also has been pastured. You want chickens and turkeys that have run around in the pasture and eaten their natural diet of grasses and berries and insects. It makes them taste fantastic. It makes them healthy. And when you eat their healthy meat, you're healthy. And you can eat bison because bison prefers to eat grass. And you can eat lamb because he prefers to eat grass. And why is this important? Because if you're buying conventional meat and that's what you're eating hormones, you're eating antibiotics. I just read a statistic on how many antibiotics are going into our conventional meat. And the reason they're giving them all these antibiotics because they want them to be healthy enough to get slaughtered and land on your plate, but it's just barely keeping them healthy and not diseased. And then we have all the superbugs that antibiotics are not helping because our bodies can't handle them anymore. I'm going to tell you a quick story about me when I first got autoimmune disease and I changed significantly how I was eating. I bought a probiotic liquid that was made from a farm from all his beautiful organic vegetables because I thought, what a good idea. But what I did was I invited an entire family of really ugly, bad bacteria into my gut, and I got sick as a dog. So we couldn't find an antibiotic that would kill them. I got tested for all of them, not Cipro, not any of the super antibiotics would touch it. We tried oregano oil, it wouldn't touch it. That was a natural solution. So we finally found a brand new antibiotic that would kill off all those nasty bugs in my gut. And then I had the project of rebuilding all of the good gut bacteria that I needed, because even though I had changed how I was eating, it was fairly recent, and my body couldn't handle getting any antibiotics because I too had gotten tremendously resistant to them. So pay attention to what you're putting into your body, and if you're going to eat meat, make sure that it's clean meat. Now, how do I afford it? I afford it because, see the palm of my hand? That's all I eat at a meal. I only eat the size of the palm of my hand. I don't need more meat than that. That satisfies me. I am diabetic, although I'm diabetes under control. It releases my sugar slowly over a longer period of time than if I was eating complex carbohydrates. So I need the meat to keep me steady, but I don't need huge amounts of meat. And so I've cut back on how much meat I eat to the point that I like to say that I eat pagan. I eat half paleo and half vegan. So I'm just trying to give you some tips to how to do this, because I really want you to start eating 75% of what you eat as vegetables. Now, why do I want you to cook? I want you to cook because I want you to control and have power over what you're putting into your body and your children's bodies. And the only way you're going to do that is if you know how that food was prepared. Even restaurants are often getting the food that they serve in little plastic pouches that they're microwaving. So if you're going to go out to a restaurant, you need to vet it carefully first. You need to talk to the chef. You need to find out, does he have produce available so that he could make you a meal without all the chemicals that was just farm to table, just like what I'm telling you to buy for your own food recipes when you're cooking. So you need to take control of your bodies, and if you do that, that's the first huge step in building your immune system to be able to withstand COVID and any other super virus that's going to come down the pike. You have to wear a mask. If one thing that Dr. Donald Trump has proven to us now is masks work. There's a brand new study out that has proven that whereas previously they only thought the mask actually helped other people get your COVID virus germs, if you have it, there's a new study out that shows it also protects you when you wear a mask, because it's another barrier against that virus, so that you are not only protecting others, but you're protecting yourself when you wear that mask. So please, let's everybody do their part and wear the mask. It's not that uncomfortable to do it. You're taking care of your neighbors. It's the loving thing to do. And the only way we're going to come out the other end of this is if we all join together and follow the protocols that the CDC has put out for us to do it. They now also know that the virus can actually get out into the air and just hang in there. It's an airborne transmission. And so they think 6 feet is enough distance between two people, but they're not even sure about that. So if you're in a room where people are coughing and sneezing, that stuff hangs in the air and it can get into your nose, your eyes, your ears, and you can get the COVID virus that way. So wear the mask. At least you're protecting what you can, and you're protecting other people around you from whatever you might have. Now, a lot of people in the White House this morning are saying, hey, they've tested negative, and I just listened to a series of scientists talking about the fact they really won't know for 2 weeks. So if you're around someone with COVID, you're really not going to know for 2 weeks either if you came through it and came out the other side with your immune system intact. So let's just all take the precautions of wearing the mask and doing all the things that we can do to protect ourselves. Less virus actually getting through a mask that you wear will translate to less severe illness if you do get sick. The more virus that gets into your body, the sicker you're going to get. So that's another good reason to wear the mask and to stay 6 feet apart. There have been more than 33 million confirmed cases of COVID around the world, and now there's been nearly 1 million deaths. Over 200,000 in our country, but 1 million worldwide. So it's a real thing. It is not a hoax, and we are not overblowing it. But we can come out the other side if we all play by the scientists' rules, and then eventually there will be some kind of a vaccine that will take us the rest of the way home. What else can you do so that you avoid getting the virus? 7 hours of sleep at night is crucial. You want to get outside and walk every day, and you want to leave your phone home so that your walk is not only for exercise, but part of your walk can be for your mind, so that you go on a walk with all your senses, which will relax you and release your stress. Stress impacts every organ in your body, so you want to make sure that you release all your stress when you take your walk. I have a little book that's available on Amazon with 2 to 3 minute stress exercises. I break up my day a couple times a day by choosing one of the exercises in my little stress book. I had to learn how to control my stress because it was completely out of whack when I got autoimmune disease. And so I have learned all these little exercises that I use intermittently through the day so that I never go over the line to toxic stress again. But let me promise you, stress is not good for any of us. So learn to do the exercises. The easiest one that I use that takes no equipment is the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise, and you've heard me talk about that before on these shows. Look it up on YouTube. You can actually do it right with Dr. Andrew Weil, and it's a great little exercise. You do 4 rounds of it, and the whole thing takes 3 minutes. I use it when I'm in LA traffic, and my blood pressure and my pulse is better than any other patient that my functional MD sees, because I'm using that exercise, which is keeping my stress level at bay. I love it. It relaxes me. It can relax me to go to sleep. So if you're having a hard time going to sleep, it's a great exercise to know, because if you do it when you're laying in bed, it will knock you out so that you'll get a good night's sleep. And that's an important element in protecting your body from COVID. You want to get air filters in your home. The air in your home is supposed to be as bad as 100 times worse as the air outside. Now, I find that to be a pretty amazing statistic since I live in Los Angeles. So think, if you don't live in Los Angeles, how bad is your air in your home? If you have good air outside, then open up your windows and clear out your house on a regular basis. But it still would help for you to have air filters. We have one in our living room and we have one in our bedroom, which are the two rooms we spend the most time in. If you have children, you want to make sure you have an air filter both in their bedroom and also in the family room or wherever your children play. But you want to keep your air clean of toxins, and you want to make sure that your house is pretty dust free, because believe it or not, all these germs and bacteria like to get on the dust and piggyback ride. So they actually hitch a ride all over your house on dust. And if you keep the dust low, you have a much better chance of keeping your air healthy. So these are all tips that will help you. You want to breathe deeply and regularly. Now, I'm in LA. I am right smack under the Bobcat fire. So right now I've been recommending to people that they not be taking deep breaths when they're outside. But you do want to learn to breathe deeper. There's a brand new book out called Breathe, and he thinks that it's a main reason why we're getting so many autoimmune diseases and cancer and chronic illness. It's because we've forgotten how to breathe, and that's such an important thing. One of the breaths he talks about is the perfect breath, which is 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. You can also find a YouTube video just with that as you go in and then as you let it out, and you do that for 3 minutes, and that will build up your lung capacity. Now, breathing is important because where does COVID attack? It attacks your lungs. So you want to make sure that you're taking super good care of your lungs, so that if you do end up in the vicinity of somebody that's got COVID, your lungs are strong and they can fend off the disease. Okay. I want to go back to things that you can do when you're cooking and eating and you're controlling the food that's going into your body. We already talked about the fact that you want to eat the rainbow. You want to eat the rainbow because each color has a different gift, and they get together and they party in your body and they create health. So if you eat all of the different colors within a fairly close proximity of time, you have a much better chance of having maximum health. Since we, the American people, are eating the standard American diet, which does not have all of those fabulous phytonutrients in it, we're 37th in the world in health. And that's a pretty icky thing, considering that we are also the richest country in the world. I had the pleasure of going to France with my husband the year before last. They only serve farm-to-table food, so I had absolutely no problem in taking care of my 18 sensitivities and eating high-quality food that didn't have sides sprayed on it when I was over there. So obviously, they don't have the health issues in their country that we have here. So listen to me and pay attention, because this is something that you can control. Eat all the colors of the rainbow. You want to fortify your body with key vitamins and minerals. So suggested supplements to build your immunity are probiotics. You have probiotics are the good bacteria in your gut. I take an extra probiotic every day, and then I eat something called prebiotics, which feed the probiotics. They're little tiny bacteria that are good for us, and the prebiotics feed the probiotics. Who knew? So what are prebiotics? Jicama, garlic, onion, leeks, green onion, artichokes. Those are all, jicama, I think I said Jerusalem artichokes, which are really good when they are roasted, so you might want to give those a try. Those are all food for your good gut bacteria, so you want to make sure you add some of those into your diet. They're also white foods, so you need the white phytonutrients to add to your rainbow when you're eating all the colors. You want vitamin C, and the recommendation is that you take it to the point that your body can't handle it anymore, which means it's going to give you a little bit of digestive issue. Why do you want to take that much vitamin C? It won't hurt you if you go over. It'll just be uncomfortable and then you back off of it a little bit. But you want to get maximum quality vitamin C. And with everything, not only does food quality matter, but supplement quality matters. So don't be looking for the cheapest one. Be looking for one that isn't in soy capsules and that is highly recommended by your pharmacist or your doctor, and that you're getting high quality supplements because they'll make a difference to your body. Now, all this does cost more, but as somebody that I read once said, have you priced out the cost of cancer lately? Because this is a way cheaper way to go, being proactive throughout your life so that you don't get the chronic illness of cancer, autoimmune disease, or heart disease in your later years. There's a supplement called quercetin. There are also a lot of foods that are loaded with quercetin, which tend to be in the purple and blue family. I love quercetin because I had developed horrific hay fever, and I now take quercetin as a supplement, and it's a fabulous supplement because it's the gift that keeps on giving goodies. Not only is it good for hay fever, better than any pharmaceutical that I have ever been on, but it's also really good for your gut, it's really good for your kidneys, it's really good for your liver, it's fantastic for your lungs, and it's fabulous for your brain. What's not to love about it? So take a look at quercetin and add it to your diet, especially if you have any kind of hay fever. And when I was researching for our pets, because I lost all 3 of my pets when I got sick, when I was researching for my own health, it hadn't occurred to me that there were lots more toxins in my kitty's life as well. So one of the things I came across is that quercetin, because it is nature's antihistamine, it's also great for dogs who are having horrific problems with skin rashes. So take a look at quercetin. Ask your vet about it if you want to try it on your animal, and do some research on it for yourself so that you know if it's going to be right for you. And always talk about any of my always discuss any of my recommendations with your own doctor and do your own research. I share things that have worked well for me, but everybody's different and everybody's body is different, and I want you to take ownership of your own health and do your own research to see if what I'm telling you about you think will work well for you. You need to have your doctor check you for your magnesium levels the next time you go to the doctor. It's really important to build up a strong immune system, and it's in charge of 325 different enzyme reactions in your body. And unfortunately, our soil is not as healthy as it used to be because of the way that we're now growing our food, and we're not rotating our crops as often. So almost everyone is deficient in magnesium. I am not only magnesium deficient, but I take 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and I take an Epsom salt bath to relax me before bed, because that's the only way I keep my magnesium at an even level. But make sure when you go to the doctor, he's checking your magnesium level, and then buy supplements that are quality supplements that will keep your magnesium at the level that you need it to be at. Zinc is recommended to build your immune system against COVID. Oil of oregano, I already mentioned that it's a natural antibiotic, and it's been shown to be more effective against some viruses than others. So it may be something that'll work for you if you catch a common cold or you catch a common virus. So it's always good to be taking small amounts of it. Again, do your own research and back up what I'm telling you. You want to start eating foods that are very high in vitamin A. What are those? The first one on the list is beef liver. Now, my first husband loved beef liver. I made it for him once a week, and to this day, it talks back to me when I eat it. So it's not high on my list of something to eat, but it's loaded with vitamin A, so it's really good for you. Cod liver oil, again, not something that tastes very good to me, but it's loaded with vitamin A and it's really good for you. Now there's some things here that I love. Sweet potato is high in vitamin A. Carrots are high in vitamin A. Black-eyed peas, spinach. I love spinach. I could eat spinach every day. So that's on the list. Broccoli. Broccoli, in a new book that we just read called How Not to Die, is listed as almost a perfect vegetable because it does so much good for your body and it builds the lining in your gut. And because things will go through little holes in your gut called leaky gut, that's where disease and inflammation begins. So eating broccoli on a regular basis is also really important. And I like to roast my broccoli. I also like to steam my broccoli. So there's different ways to eat broccoli. If you don't like the taste of broccoli, then you're probably not cooking it correctly. So experiment with it because it's really yummy. And then sweet red pepper is loaded with vitamin A. Okay, now you need to include foods with potassium. You want to eat a diet that includes, again, cooked spinach, cooked broccoli. The tip with cooked broccoli is you need to take your broccoli and chop it up into small pieces and then let it sit for 35 or 40 minutes because something happens with the broccoli that all its phytonutrients come out in full force when it sits there all cut up into smaller pieces. I didn't know that, so it's a great tip. So you want to do that before you cook your broccoli so that you get the maximum benefit. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, mushrooms, peas, cucumber, zucchini, eggplant, pumpkins, bananas, oranges, cantaloupe, honeydew, apricots, and grapefruit all have a lot of potassium. And although it doesn't say it on my list, bananas have a lot of potassium too. So make sure that you're getting a nice assortment of those vegetables and fruits sometime during your week. Vitamin E, I take one ubiquinol a day to make sure that I get adequate vitamin E, which is really good for my heart. I take NAC, which keeps my gut lining healthy. I eat 2 Brazil nuts a day to make sure that I have adequate selenium. An orange every day is really good for you, not only because you're getting vitamin C in its natural form, but that orange is loaded with goodness. Drink a cup of green tea every day. It is very high in antioxidants and it will help you ward off the coronavirus. You want to drink chamomile tea daily. It also is good to ward off corona-19. Coconut oil is considered to be antiviral, and there is lauric acid and a derivative monolaurin fat in it to prevent the adherence of COVID-19 to your tissues. So if you're using coconut oil when you cook, that's helping your lungs fend off the COVID-19 virus, which is really great. And what you want to be using is unrefined coconut oil, unfiltered. You want to take a melatonin supplement, which is it's available in a supplemental form, and it has antioxidant properties as well by scavenging free radicals and by upregulating antioxidant pathways. The potential for human viral-induced conditions. Okay, those are all the things that you can be eating to boost your immune system. So you're going to give up processed food and fast food unless if the processed food has less than 5 ingredients and you know what all of them are, then knock yourself out because that's okay for you to eat. I do use a jarred pasta sauce because it only has 5 real ingredients in it. But again, if you're going to be eating tomatoes out of a can or a jar, make sure you're only eating them out of a jar, because if you're eating tomato products out of a can, it's pulling from the metals that it's in, and you don't need that in your body. So if you're going to do tomato products, make sure that you do clean tomato products that are coming out of glass. Okay, I want you to rethink the cleaning supplies in your health. I want you to do this period, but during COVID-19, it's a great time to go through all your cleaning supplies and figure out which ones are okay for you to use and which ones are loaded with poison. And the key is, my tip here is to look up the last ingredient on the cleaning supply, because if it's toxic, the whole thing is toxic. You don't have to waste your time looking all the other ingredients up. And where do you look up ingredients to see how toxic they are? You look them up on ewg.org. That's a database of hundreds of thousands of items that rates them. If it's a cleaning supply, it will rate it as an A, B, C, D, or F. A lot of cleaning supplies are D's because they have fragrances in them that are just god-awful for you and all kinds of chemicals in them that are not good for you. So you want to know what's in your cleaning supplies. The suggestion from an environmental toxin woman that I worked with is you get one of those big plastic bins with a lid at Target. You put everything that you use for cleaning in that bin and you take it out to your garage. Then when it's time to use it, you pull them out one at a time and you look up what the ingredients are on them. So that if it's toxic, you know that you need to find something else to replace it. I have a blog on my website that talks about the recommendations that I have. Some of them are Lysol products that have hydrogen peroxide in them, but all cleaning products that have hydrogen peroxide are not low toxin. So you have to know which ones are and which ones are not. You do not want to be using wipes because those have quaternary ammonium compounds, and that includes the ones that are right outside your grocery store. And although they are very toxic to bacteria, they also go right through your skin and impact your human health in a negative way. It's even worse if those chemicals are given to children to clean their desks. You don't want to be using those wipes. And the best thing to kill the virus is hot, soapy water. Why? Because hot, soapy water gets on the outside of the Corona-19 virus and it bursts through its membrane. And so if you're going to be cleaning in your kitchen, use hot, soapy water. Even if you're going to use another cleaning fluid, if you're going to be cleaning your child's desk, you want to be using hot, soapy water. You want to be washing your hands on a regular basis for 20 seconds. That's a long time. You want to be washing your hands with hot, soapy water. That's going to protect you more from this virus than almost anything else that you do. And remember, one of the problems with toxic chemicals that are in cleaning fluids is they're not only killing the bad bacteria and the virus, but they're killing the good bacteria. And our skin has a film of good bacteria on it too that our bodies need. So you don't want to be killing that off. To exacerbate the issue, we're cleaning way more than we were before. And that cleaning stuff not only is going through our skin and into our bodies and has toxic in it, but all those fumes are going into our lungs, and our lungs can't afford to have that happen. So let me just talk quickly about the lungs, because I looked all this up when I was studying about how I was going to protect myself from COVID. The outside of your lungs regenerates its cells every 10 days. It has to, because it's got a really serious job to do to protect the inside of your lungs and your alveoli from all the things that go through it. So you want to be eating all of those beautiful phytonutrients so that when your lung cells are regenerating themselves, they've got great building supplies to use. And that's true of all the cells in your body. Your gut lining redoes itself every 6 to 7 days, but eventually it can't keep up, and so bad things start to leak through, which causes inflammation, which leads to disease. There's also something called leaky lung. So you want to keep the walls of your lungs healthy, and although they are regenerating on a regular basis, you want to make sure you've got really great building supplies in there for your lungs. You don't want your school to be using any kind of a misting chemical that would disinfect your child on their way into school, because that misting chemical is also getting in through their skin and into their lungs, and that's not good for them. And most disinfectants work best when you've used hot soap and water on them first, so that all of the organic materials are removed from the surface, like skin cells, which can deactivate even chemicals like bleach. And bleach is a toxic chemical. So you want to be really careful of all of this stuff. You can't be as effective, and you'll still have the side effects. So you need to be very careful. And all this information is from Stephanie Holm, who co-directs the Western States Pediatric Environmental Health Specialty Unit, which is funded by the EPA and the CCD. I want you to pay attention to what you read in articles, because recently the EPA came out with an additional list of cleaners that they said were approved to kill COVID-19. It's true that they probably do kill the COVID-19 virus, but they're not necessarily good for your body and for you to use in your home. And cleaning supplies are one of the most toxic things that you have in your house. A lot of the things on the new EPA list were a D when I looked them up on the EWG site, which actually tells you how toxic different ingredients are in everyday products that we use in this country. I came up with 6 products that you could use. 2 were on the EPA list and 4 were not. And so these are what those 6 products are. Hydrogen peroxide Clorox Pet Solutions Advanced Formula Disinfecting Stain and Odor Remover from Clorox. That's on the EPA list, so you're good to go. Hydrogen peroxide Clorox Commercial Solutions Clorox Disinfecting Biostain and Odor Remover from Clorox. That's on the EPA list, and it's also an A on the EWG site. Now, anything else on that EPA list, look it up for yourself, but most of them got Ds, which means that they are highly toxic and you don't want to be using them around yourself, and certainly not around your children or your pets. And remember, both children and pets have smaller bodies, so the toxins have a much stronger impact on their little bodies than they do on yours. However, when I was over on EWG, I did find 4 other products that you could use for cleaning. And they're all hydrogen peroxide products by Lysol. One is hydrogen peroxide multi-purpose cleaner, citrus sparkle zest. One is Lysol hydrogen peroxide action multi-purpose cleaner, oxygen splash. One is Lysol hydrogen peroxide multi-purpose cleaning wipes, oxygen splash. Now, you heard me talking about most wipes. This wipe does not have those nasty chemicals in it. And hydrogen peroxide by Lysol bathroom cleaner, cool spring breeze. I also want you to know that I read an article years ago that if you clean with first regular hydrogen peroxide and let it sit, and then you clean that off, and then you use white vinegar and let it sit, you'll kill almost any nasty bacteria or virus that would hurt your body. Somebody, when I posted this on Facebook, commented that if you have a stone countertop, it could also eat the surface of your countertop, so be careful. I have tile, so it has not impacted my tile, but I also use both of those cleaners, just hydrogen peroxide and white vinegar, on all my cutting boards to kill all the bacteria on them. So the viruses and the bacteria get killed by those as well. So that'll give you some cleaning ideas. You don't want things that have fragrances in them, because they're very hard on the lungs. And what does COVID attack? It attacks the lungs. So be very careful what products you're reading that people are recommending. Take responsibility, look them up yourself, and make good choices, because you don't need your toxic load to be building because you're trying to kill the virus while you're lowering your immune system with toxic load. So make sure before you start using something in your home, around your kids, around your pets, and stuff that's going to be going through your skin and into your lungs. You know what you're using. It's not necessarily easy to look up stuff on EWG because it's not real user friendly, but you can look it all up, and it pays to be informed because that's how you're going to protect your health. And every step you take to lower your toxic load and protect your own health allows your immune system one more building block to protect you against the virus in the first place. So that's all the stuff that I wanted to share with you today. I just want to share a last few statistics on children because these are statistics that really blew my mind as to why we are so ill. A child that's being born today can have as many as 297 toxins that it's inheriting through its umbilical cord that it's gotten right from its parents. So what does that mean? That means its parents had a heavy toxic load at the time of conception. And believe it or not, those toxins are coming from the mother as well as from the father. So if you're going to get pregnant, clean up your diet now. Start eating all the colors of the rainbow. Start eating organic so that when your child is born, it's not born with a heavy toxic load right as it pops out of you to start its life. 55% of our children have some kind of a chronic illness, and I find that frightening, and it's because it's starting with toxic load right at the point of birth. The next amazing statistic is that by the time a child is 5, it can have as many as 7 pounds of toxins in its little body. And understand that a child's body doesn't know what to do with this stuff. It doesn't have all of the mechanisms in place in its body yet to be able to process all of these toxins back out of its body. So you want to make sure that your child's not getting a heavy dose of toxins so that it's got a strong chance to live a long and healthy life, and to have its brain. You want your children to have the most brain power as possible, and all those toxins are going to slow that brain down. So let's start cleaning up now for our children. And by cleaning up for our children now, we're also giving all of us a chance to have stronger immune systems. A developing child's chemical exposures are greater pound for pound than an adult's are, and it's because their bodies can't handle it, can't process it, and can't exist with it. An immature, porous blood-brain barrier allows higher chemical exposures to the developing brain. So this is really important if you want your child to be able to learn well and be brilliant and do well in school. These are important things that you need to know as their parent and to take responsibility for. Children have lower levels of chemical binding proteins, which allows more of these nasty toxic chemicals to target organs. A child's organs and systems are rapidly developing, and therefore they are far more vulnerable to damage from chemical exposure. Systems that detoxify and excrete industrial chemicals are not fully developed in a child. And the longer future lifespan of a child compared to an adult allows for more time for all the adverse effects to arise. So clean up now. If you want to get more information, I have 2 books about toxins in the home because I wanted to give everybody a running start on what were the toxins that I found and eliminated from my life so that I could lower my toxic load and I could return to relative wellness, which is what I've done. Although I will always have autoimmune disease, I no longer have pain, which is huge for anybody out there who has a chronic illness and is struggling with headaches and chronic fatigue and brain fog and is popping all kinds of over-the-counter medications. You can have food be your medicine, and you can take care of that if you change your lifestyle. So Not only does changing your lifestyle build your immune system so that you can fight off COVID-19, but it will help you remain pain-free and disease-free, and it will allow you to raise healthy children for the futures, because I think that's really important. We don't want our children to have toxic load. We want to be dealing with that now, so we want to make sure we're feeding our children real food and make it fun. Take your children with you to farmers markets. Take your children with you to the farm. We've even forgotten about how food is grown. There was a silly statistic I found when I was researching for my second book that 8 million people in America believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. We need for our children to know where our food is coming from. And one of the best ways you can do that is take them with you to the farm and have them pick out their own vegetables and fruits and then cook and teach them how to cook so that they have strong, healthy habits for their future as well. So that's my entire show about why it's important to eat healthy, to eat the rainbow, to cook, and to be careful what you're putting in your body, what supplements will help you build a stronger immune system, and what you want to do is be so healthy that you can fight off coronavirus on your own if you do come in contact with somebody who's got it, because from everyone that I know that has struggled with it, it's an ugly disease to get, and frankly, although I am immune compromised, I'm doing everything in my power to ward off that virus because I don't want to go there, and neither should you. So thank you for joining me today. I hope there were lots of tips that you've learned. I will update my blog on my website, which is CherylMHealthMuse.com, so that you can go print off a copy and you can use it as a checklist to make sure that you're taking my tips to heart and utilizing them to have the healthiest lifestyle of all, so that you are not one of the immune compromised 90% of our population, and you come through this and out the other side as a healthy, lovely human body. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love sharing my tips with you. And if you're interested in my books, it's Cheryl Meyer on Amazon. Thank you. I'll see you next week.